Peace and Black Power, everybody. I want to welcome you to another NCRBGZ Productions. We have a nice show lined up for the family tonight. Like always, I want to thank you for taking your time out your busy schedule to watch the playback or either watch this while we live. Again, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, let us know what you think. Share the video, let your friends know that NCRBGZ, we live right now, and we about to sit down and have a nice discussion. And with that being said, I want to give my panel member the opportunity to introduce yourself, and we're gonna get it in.
Yeah, so peace, family. This your brother Nabat Kafafreye Amonreye. Just call me Nabat. I'm a student teacher of His Excellency Dr. Malachi York. I'm also a Sabaean. And yeah, we're just gonna get into this update. We have quite a length. It's about 9-minute, 12-minute update from our master teacher, His Excellency Dr. Malachi ZK York, also known to us as Baba Yanun. This update came out a few weeks ago, but it's new to a lot of the family who may not be abreast of, His Excellency Dr. Malachi York's current awareness of the situation that's going on and his viewpoint on it as well, and the guidance that we can take from that, the wisdom. Even though he's incarcerated still in Florence ADX Max prison. So it's a good update. After that, we're going to play another brief video on his current health condition, as well as the current freedom fighters, his legal fight as far as getting him out of prison as well. So just go ahead, brother. We can go ahead and get into the update and listen to what the master teacher has to say by way of these two beautiful feminine in New York City.
All right, so let me share my screen. All right, and we're gonna jump right in here, family. There we go. Got it. Turn the volume up, and here we go.
Today we'll be reading a new update. Thank you for tuning in. You see, everything I told y'all about the coronavirus is on the news now. About the plasma in the blood, and they're eventually going to say people with type A blood type are the one that dies the most. You hear it first here, this channel. I'm telling y'all, it was a targeted virus from aliens for reconfiguration of the genetic markers of human DNA for the Adamites that's part of their elimination. I told y'all. I can't breathe is the end of their time. Everything is coming down. You have to know the weather. You have to know the next thing that's going to happen. The next cycle is going to happen. Everybody's saying, when is Christ coming? When is Christ coming? They don't have a clue what they're saying. They don't get it. Now look at it like this. These people have all these weapons and are like, if the Russians do this, you have this kind of nuclear weapon. If the Chinese do this, we're going to do this. If the Americans do this, we're going to do this. Drones flying all over the place, but they get a virus and they don't know what to do. A boy gets killed on national television and they don't know what to do.
They're so prepared to fight, they're so prepared to be aggressive that you miss the Christ. The whole principle of Christ was not to be aggressive, not to be violent. But these people don't seem to see that that's why they're not going to have his presence. Until they raise their level of thinking, and that's with purification, as I told y'all. And what did I say about racism? What's my favorite saying? No one wins the race in racism. Now you see the love of all people coming together. No way in the world are you going to stop that. It's only a handful of black people still saying black power, and white people yelling white power. There's a bunch of Euro-Americans and Negro-Americans, but for the majority of people, their hearts are changing. I'm here to warn y'all, don't duck when the truth is thrown at you.
They can't tell you what this coronavirus is. They can't tell you, they say, right? So they'll say, oh, the Chinese did it. The Chinese will say, get the crap out of here. You all did it. You all are not putting the ball in our court. However, none of them can tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you what it is. That is what they don't want. Now, you do know what your genetic markers are. It is your double helix. You do know what transposons are. Transposons is when a gene can be adjusted. A chromosome can shift by some type of outside influence. That means a mutation can take place by transposons. So what that means is if you have a DNA structure, your makeup of the human pattern, and they come in pairs, as you know, like the 4 letters for the nucleotides or nitrogen bases, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. The 2 sides of the helix are 2 strands of nucleotides, a sugar group, and the other side, a phosphate group. Picture that's why they call it the mark of the beast in the Bible, because it has to do with genetic markers on the double helix. Then they tell you, wow, we had a large cigar-shaped meteorite that passed by a couple months ago. And it's strange because this thing seems to be intelligently controlled. And they talk about that on the History Channel. They say they don't know what this thing was. However, it came from outer space here. Something comes from outer space and they now find out that it can transport spores here, bacteria, and cells. Every race on the planet has been touched by this sun halo virus because that's what it really means. For sun people, children of the sun are protected. I told my people years ago what the whole purpose of them being here in this country is. The plasma in their body, because Nagar Nadu, Negroids, Keloid, because they have the most plasma in their bodies. Again, this is what the slave trade was about. Plasma is a defense mechanism for healing in the body. Asians have a lot of plasma. Indians have a lot of plasma. Aborigines have a lot of plasma. Negroes have a lot of plasma. And that's why they're here. It was all about blood. Okay, so now the first thing that happened after the spread was some kind of respiratory thing. People were breathing it in. The next thing they did was say, we need to get blood because they found out a lot of blacks were dying. Well, that's because blacks have hands-on contact to you all from all the medial jobs in the country. Blacks are not dying because of their DNA structure. Their DNA structure has a defense against it, the virus. That's why they follow and say, well, enough heat and it goes away. Remember, the maps on television were showing the world, yet if you watch it, they had to change it because Africa didn't have any orange and yellow. It was always gray. The only place they had orange and yellow in Africa on the maps on television and the news was around the northeastern part of Africa and South Africa because of the generations of Murapu Europeans from Holland that have been living in South Africa, or Afrikaners. And then as you come up to Ethiopia, to Egypt, all the way to Algeria and Morocco, all those people got it because those people are not really African. They're Italian and they're French. The Turkish and Italian and French that invaded, so they got it. So what's the strongest place? Italy. Where did Mussolini go? Ethiopia. Where did the flu hit after China? Italy. Now let's go back. Where did the flus and virus come from? Where did influenza come from? Spain. Where did Ebola come from? Rome, not Africa. Look it up. It's a Roman disease. These people are diseased, and there is a concentrated effort to eliminate them by aliens who they call God. When a Muslim says Allah, he is talking about an extraterrestrial. When a Jew says Hashem, he's talking about extraterrestrials. If you look in the Bible in Job, chapter 9, verse 9, you see each one of the extraterrestrial groups they're talking about right there. They list them for you to know. When they say Anunnaki, that's nothing except Anakim, and it has to do with the extended neck. If you look at the European woman, she's the one with the little head and the long neck. These are who you're talking about. That craft that came through here that they have marked as a meteorite that looks like a large rock, yet with the cigar shape, look it up in the news, cigar-shaped craft, and you'll see it came in through here from out of space and it released spores into the air, and those spores, when it struck down in India, turned all the water red. And then they went into the underwater and they produced this new species on the planet now.
The observations we have so far, it looks like it's a very elongated object, maybe about a quarter mile in length.
We think this object, 2017 U1, is very long, perhaps 400 meters or so long, and very narrow, skinny, perhaps maybe 40 meters or so in the other dimensions. That's a very unusual shape. We don't see that in our solar system. None of the asteroids in our solar system look like that. So it's very puzzling how it could have obtained this shape.
We also see that it's very reddish.
The planet is being restocked for the next 24,000 year cycle by aliens who are putting life forms in the form of jellyfish and new chromosomes. Now, to point out the coronavirus is a readjustment of the chromosome structure of human beings. They have put something in the air that human beings are breathing in and is going to reconfigure or mutate the human DNA. That's what's going on because they keep talking about it and saying, if the aliens want to get us, all they have to do is use a virus or bacteria. And that's exactly what they're doing. What's bothering the Adamites, and we're not Adamites, is that they will be the first to go because they have a compromised immune system. They're not like us. We have plasma. We're not the hemoglobins. We're not the hemophiliacs who came here. This is a first step. It's all coming worse. Their deadline ended when they had that meeting. The biggest meeting they had was in the Bohemian Grove in Northern California, when the Bohemian Brotherhood or Bohemian cult of all the world leaders met. And that was on 9/9/1999 to find out if they would get an extension of time. The extension was denied for the Adamite species of hybrid. Every July 15th, look it up, all the world leaders meet at Bohemian Grove in California. They have a 40-foot owl, a barn owl of stone with an altar on it, and all the grand masters of the highest societies and politicians and millionaires are there. They met there and they have a ritual of Lilith. Malak, who is Nanar, son of Enlil, represents this.
What is another movement that's prominent in the world right now that's starting to come out the closet? LGBT. The mental part is not the problem. The physical part is the problem. You know what Baphomet is? The Mendez. There is a symbol called Baphomet, the goat of Mendez. It's the head of a goat in the shape of a 5-pointed star, and it has Leviathan written around it in Hebrew letters. It's called Satanism. That creature that's sitting there is what you called androgynous. It has the face of a ram, yet a man. It has breasts and arms of a female, and it has the lower part of a goat with a male's phallus. That is what they're calling transgender agenda. And when you go to Leviticus chapter 17, verse 7, you'll see they sacrifice to the devil. And when you look up the word devil under Strong's Concordance number 8163, you see satires. And that's Pan, a goat creature called Azazel also. Those are the beings that they have been worshiping, and they have a ritual where on the 15th every year, they sacrifice a 12-year-old girl right there. The next meeting takes place at Mount Shasta, and inside there, that's where all the visitors that have made deals with the presidents of the world with aliens who've come here and been here made deals with them. They give them technology for human food with human beings, and in the Bible, contrary to what people believe, when you see the word for covenant, covenant in Hebrew is berith. If you look up in the Strong's Concordance, it comes out from the Hebrew's word bara, which means food. It means to eat. It means flesh. That's why they sometimes say, you mean the covenant of flesh? And make it look like they're pertaining to circumcision. And if you ask them, what's the purpose of circumcision? They can't give it to you. The next meeting takes place inside Mount Shasta, and that's where the aliens agreed and said, nope, in 2000 AD, there will be no more extensions for the Adamites. They must be eliminated. They are chaotic. They have spread diseases. They're responsible for pornography, syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes. Because of their involvement in bestiality, The genetic structure is messed up and it can't be upgraded. So what they did is they said it's time for them to be eliminated. They gave them a deadline, and the deadline was when? 2000 AD. And that's why after 2000 AD, you see these tremendous big triangular crafts, miles long. They went to the first landing point in Nome, Alaska. If you see the movie called The Fourth Kind, you'll see they're talking about Nome, Alaska. That was the first abduction for 144,000, all over Alaska, taking people as food. The offerings in the Bible and Quran are offerings to carnivorous, cannibalistic creatures. And that's why they keep saying, we don't know why they're here and what they're doing. What they're here for, if you read the book and the language and stop letting Germans come in Middle Eastern countries and take Hebrew Bibles and transfer it into German, then it's transferred to French, then it gets translated to Latin, then it's transferred to Greek, then it's transferred to English, and then you have no idea what it's saying. It's the same thing with the Quran. They have about 1 million translations. It's because the original one, they lost it. They never really seen the original. Now they dig up certain books. They found the book of Enoch. They found the book of Judith. Found the book of Mary Magdala, not Magdalene. Magdalene is a place in Jerusalem. Magdala is a place in Egypt. Jesus' wife was from Magdala. She was an Egyptian. Moses was the brother of Akhenaten. His name was Tahutimus. He was the religion in Jerusalem. So, these viruses are spores that was released by aliens intentionally to do exactly what it is doing. And it has affected everybody, yet it will not affect people with high levels of body heat. They have colored people blonding their hair. They go to do blonde because your black hair draws the heat of the sun. Every woman you see now on the commercial on television now has red hair and green eyes. They call them Basques people. They're located in the area between northern Spain and southern France. They're Rh negative blood type. Nobody was supposed to marry them because they were a weapon used by the Palladians to destroy people that resulted in the Black Plague. If you want to know what the coronavirus is, do your research and you'll find out Pops is not nuts. Thank you for watching. For more information, please visit freedoctoryork.com. Wadu Moisar.
As we know, there has been a longing fight for our beloved Master Teacher's freedom with so much progress along the way. But the fight is still on until we bring him home as a collective unit. With much intensity and so much happening in the world, it's imperative that we don't lose sight of him. All help is needed at this time so that we may continue with his freedom fight. If you would like to help contribute, we ask that you all please direct all donations to Acts of Kindness Donate at Outlook.com. Tawakum.
All right. And with that family, if there's any questions, I know you might have it. I know you might have a question or two, Saharu, based on what we heard so far. But the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, has definitely given us insight into this coronavirus and how it plays. He gave us the fact that it has an effect on particular blood types, particularly people with type A blood. He came out with this update a few weeks ago, right before they released this information to the public. So it's definitely pertinent information that we want to look into. Also, he explained that people with high body heat are also resistant to the effects of this particular virus. And we know that majority of us Black people give off a lot of body heat. So yeah, go ahead, brother. If you Saharu, if you had
actually, no, it was just interesting to hear the letter that he wrote and how it correlates with what's going on right now. And I really didn't have no question, man. It's just like he added on to what's going on right now. So
Yeah, I know one thing that's not being talked about is the extraterrestrial aspect of that we definitely need to look into. The reason why he was touching on so many of these different topics, and we may think that it's he was just talking on random things, but really what he was trying to associate was the origin of this virus actually coming from um, this this comet that actually came into our solar system. NASA revealed this a few months back, actually late last year. This comet was called, or this meteor was called Oumuamua, and we all can do our research on this particular uh, space rock was so strange that NASA could not even identify it as such until it came close to the Earth, and it actually dropped off spores and material as it passed by the Earth that crashed down into the Indian Sea and turned the sea red. We can all look this up. This happened late last year, and within these spores that came out of this meteor, this comet, actually crashed down to the seas and started having an effect on the sea life. And as we know, in Asia and China, they eat a lot of seafood. So what he was trying to explain is that this is an extraterrestrial virus. This is not something that the reason why they can't prove the origin of this virus is because it didn't originate with any particular country. It was here in the United States in certain labs. They say in Fort Detrick. They speak about, they also speak about in China, the Chinese, initiating this particular virus by way of their eating habits of bats and different things like that. But our master teacher is giving us the understanding that, first of all, what we have to recognize is that the planet Earth is taking a shift right now. And that how a natural body reacts to anything that is not native to it is it attacks it. So even if we want to associate this particular virus with the planet Earth, then we have to recognize that this is a shift in a shift that is taking place where the planet Earth is cleaning herself of a virus, and that is actually human beings. See, we may want to look at diseases and viruses that attack humans as a bad thing, when that is only the defense system of the planet Earth, cleansing itself of impurities. And so I don't know. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, we could build on that. But if not, like I said, this is pretty much the update from our master teacher. And
well, what I want to do, I want to give, see, we got one of the panel members just came in. I want to get a better opportunity to unmute his mic and say something to the family.
Hey, peace, family. I'm a little late, man. I'm just, I probably got in maybe like a minute and a half ago. I'm just listening. It sounds like you both are building on the coronavirus.
Yes, right on. And,
okay.
And I'm also, Dr. York, the update.
What'd he say?
Pertaining to the coronavirus and what's been going on right now. Brother Nabat, you want to? Because I don't think you were here to catch the whole video.
Yeah. I'll just briefly go over. So basically, the update was coming from my master teacher briefly a few weeks ago. He was touching on the origin of the coronavirus, and giving us an understanding of how we can protect ourselves and also understand how the coronavirus affects certain people. Like, for example, he was he wrote a letter over a month ago on how the coronavirus affects people with type A blood. He was the first to reveal this because they just recently came out with certain studies talking about that, talking about how the coronavirus affects certain blood types, specifically people with A blood, and also he was explaining how uh, the coronavirus doesn't affect people with high body heat as much as it does with people with low body heat, or like low heat in the central nervous system. Like we know the majority of us black people, we give off a lot of heat. When we breathe, we give off a lot of heat. We generate a lot of heat because of the energy um, that we generate in our constant movement and in our nature. So with that, it tends to fight off a lot of respiratory viruses, because the respiration system is right there in the central nervous system. So dealing with African Americans or Africans or indigenous people, Native Americans, Africans in general, we generate a lot of heat, and that tends to fight off the virus itself. But he was explaining that the reason why a lot of black people are also being affected by it is because of the diet that we have in this country, and also being out of our natural way of life. But he was talking on a number of different topics. He spoke on how this is an extraterrestrial virus that originated from a meteor or a comet. Late last year, there was a meteor that passed by the Earth, and it dropped off certain spores. We can all research this. The meteor was called Oumuamua. I forget the translation of it, but it's a Hawaiian term that they named this meteor after. That actually dropped off alien bacteria or life forms inside the Indian Sea and actually turned the sea red. They printed articles about this late last year, and what he was just trying to show to the people is that it's a connection between all of these different events that's going on. Extraterrestrials, like they also meet in Bohemian Grove. You know, he was dealing with the fact that they're also seeking African American blood, because we as descendants of the original people, we keloid, and because Europeans and Caucasians, they have compromised immune system, and their blood system it's not as strong to fight off viruses and diseases. They actually seek after our blood. They seek after our DNA and our organs. So it's a concentrated effort that we have to keep be aware of exactly what's taking place in this country. It's beyond just what we've been shown on the news and different media platforms and things like that. It's much deeper. It's definitely extraterrestrial involvement. It's definitely a what they call a so-called Illuminati involvement, Ku Klux Klan involved, racist organizations and individuals that's definitely controlling and evil individuals that are definitely controlling this whole plot, and this whole pandemic that's occurring across the world right now. And that's pretty much what he was talking on.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, if we didn't have any questions, that was pretty much it on that particular topic. I just wanted to share that update because I know a lot of people didn't hear from the master teacher. Now also on his an update on his health. If you guys like, I could actually share a quick clip of him speaking himself. That way you can kind of hear,
Let me set it up so you can share your screen.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how my audio works. I know I've been having a problem with playing videos.
Do you want to send it to me in Messenger?
Let's give it a try. Let's say
All right, you can share your screen. Hold up. Yeah, you have the option to share your screen. By the way, we have somebody else that joined the show. You want to mute your mic, introduce yourself to the family?
Rob, peace to everybody. It's Neb Ray. I'm in here for the show. Sorry for being a little late, being tardy. I was out here promoting the show, dealing with family life. I'm here to listen and learn.
Yeah, we thank you, brother.
All right. So, hey, can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me share my screen. Yeah, it says host disabled attendee screen share.
Look. Thought I just. All right, there you go.
All right, cool. Let me see. All right, let's play this one first. Just be mindful, family. His voice is it's kind of hard to hear him, so you got to listen close because he's still suffering from a acute angioedema, which is called a swelling of the throat. So this isn't how he naturally sounds, family, but he's definitely suffering. So just listen close.
I don't hear nothing.
I'm sorry. Could you hear it? You said you couldn't hear it.
We couldn't hear nothing. You want me to go to this person channel and pull it up?
Yeah. How about I do this? I'll just I'll send you the link.
Okay, so let me
I'll just send it to your messenger.
All right. This one right here.
Right.
Gotta get the family back in the power of Gotta get the family back in the power of for a moment, right? Instead of it coming the way it used to come, I guess because I'm sitting around it, maybe because I'm anticipating, right? Now comes it random. It used to just be when I'm sleeping at night, I guess. Yeah, I tell you, it only would wake me up around 3 o'clock. But now, I could be sitting there myself just looking at television and boom, all of a sudden I feel an itch and a couple of things. The thing about it is when you push the button, they don't come for 2 or 3 hours like yesterday, last night, yesterday evening. I was just, sitting there reading, and I felt strange, and then my voice started to close up, right? And I could feel it. And I was like, wow, but then I felt my lips swelling on the side, so I pushed the button, and they asked me what, but I couldn't say because the voice wasn't there, so then eventually our officer came, and I mentioned that I just saw it, what he seen it anyway, just see it anywhere, and he said he'll send the PA, but they didn't come until it was bill time, which is like maybe 2 hours later, and I was having a hard time breathing, and then she came and she said again, when she made a statement that needs to be noted, because she said, well, you refused your antihistamines and your other thing, hormones or something like that, steroids or something. And I said, no, I don't refuse anything. I said, he told me to buy antihistamines from the commissary. If you look on my commissary list, you'll
All right, that's good enough. So that's just kind of giving you an idea of what can happen when you don't receive your proper medication for angioedema, and Malachi has been suffering from that ever since he's been in prison. He was diagnosed with acute angioedema, which causes swelling of certain glands within the body, especially the throat, and it definitely changes the voice and causes all type of health complications. But next we can play a much clearer one where you can hear him speaking clearly, because this doesn't happen all the time.
Welcome back. This is Rick. Welcome back. How are y'all? All right, doing good. We can beat these devils. We will beat these devils. But everybody has to work together. We're trying to get the family back to the power of love. We're trying to get the family back to the power of love. We're trying to get the family back to the power of love. We can beat these devils. We will beat these devils. But everybody has to work together. We're trying to get the family back. Power of love, but everybody has to work together. We're trying to get the family back to the power of love, but everybody has to work together. Adam had 2 wives, and they don't know that. And the rabbis who do know it won't stand up and I know the rabbis are laughing. They won't stand up and say, well, that argument where God said a marriage is only for one man and one woman. If you're basing that on the Bible and Adam's story, not. You're wrong, because Adam's first wife's name was Lilith. Recorded in the Jewish Talmud, you call it the Zohar in Hebrew, but you'll never see it in King James because it's not meant for you. When the country splits between religion and state, and it's part of a prophecy, and there's more people in the religious sector of America than in the political or judicial sector of America. The conflict that they were trying to promote between African Americans and Euro Americans in America with all this new cocktail and all that stuff, the thing they were trying to get the revolution or the raising of the South again has backfired on them, because now they just stirred up mixed a whole new group of people that are coming forth now, and these are good old girls and good old boys. So this is going to grow, and it's going to become a more prominent argument, because it's like, do we alter the Constitution? You see, can we alter the Constitution? And that's where their problem is coming in, and that's not our battle, that's their battle. Because the jigaboos, the porch monkeys get involved, they're stupid. We don't get into that. Our philosophy is no one wins the race of racism. We all go and fight your religious battle. So that's part of the prophecy. Next part of the prophecy that y'all need to know is that what y'all see with the migration of all these people, that's not a coincidence. They have a philosophy in the European world, 1% of any other gene means it does not belong to the white race. That's what they say. Well, what's going to happen in the next generation in Europe with all of these migrants coming in there who are not of the Caucasian species? What's going to happen when they intermingle and intermarry in Germany and all these different countries? There'll be no more pure Caucasian race. They will get amalgamated into this new breed. That's what they meant by the end of their time. Everybody's looking for some flying saucer to come and zap them, like roaches. And no, nature has its own way of doing things. That was like all of a sudden you just woke up on one day and said, what's going on? There's thousands of people migrating and dying in the water. That's nature doing that. That's nature at work. So all you have to do is sit back, mind your business, and stay out of it. But our people are so damn nosy. They always got their face and everything, trying to get their voice heard. That them people put them there in action. What do you think about this? And while you're talking about that, tell us about this, Black Lives Matter. They keep pushing things back and forth like that. The new world is a mess of humanity. And it's happening everywhere, and they can't handle it because they will no longer be the dictators over everybody's lives. China is now powerful. India is powerful. Asia is powerful. And Africa is growing. And everybody has their own minds. And we always like, I don't want your religion, Islam. I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Keep it wonderful. Muhammad was a nice guy in the desert. All that's good. His turban was a little too tight. He was okay. I don't need it. I don't need a white Jesus. I don't need a African Shango. I don't need none of that stuff to be human. That's where the problem is. Everybody's trying to come. I'm the one. I keep telling everybody, you pop, you're this pop. I said, I ain't nobody. I'm trying to make me somebody just so you can find faults in me. They like to turn you into something holy just so they can watch you so close. Look, he's drunk. I time to do it, then you can go all the way from holy to the Antichrist. That's what people do. They just tell me all the time, Prophet, we know you're Jesus, we know you're Jesus. I mean, I'm saying I'm not Jesus, right? Yeah, okay, just so you get in the bus and get to the picnic, okay? I'm Jesus. I told you he was. I'm like, my goodness, that's how people are. They crazy. I'm like, you know, I got a message to give through me for you. That's important. Get the message. Let's move on. But don't make me something so you can find fault in me.
All right. And so with that, family, again, that's hey Terrible, could you pause that?
You'll be hoping this when it should be. This your boy NORE.
What up, is DJ EFN?
And this Drink Chats motherfucking happy hour. Make some noise!
Salute.
Now, I for one are very excited about this episode because
Yeah, I stopped it.
Yeah, it's all good.
No,
All right, family. So yeah, like I said, if any questions, feel free to ask. Other than that, like I said, this is pretty much it. We just wanted to share the update from our master's teacher, and also give an update on us Sabaeans as well right now. We're also working on bringing our people together, our finances. We're looking towards getting land. We already have land on multiple different continents in Trinidad. We're looking to gather our people together that want to get more land for us to live up for and by each other. This is what our leaders have been coming to us. You know, Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, all of our leaders have come to us to give us a portion of what's needed for us in this day and time, and we're seeing that it's very, very important. So, regardless of our backgrounds or the doctrines that you follow, what we're talking about right now is really establishing something for us. And so what we want to do is bring our people together. I see T.I. right now is definitely putting together those numbers for reparations by pointing these corporations, so we can get that together. Yeah, man, we just got to come together, man. Any questions on what the video that was shared?
It definitely sound like him. It definitely sound like the brother. Definitely sound like Dr. York. And for anybody who thinks that it's not real, it do sound like him. It sounds like his spirit's still up, man, just like it was before he got locked up,
Yeah, it's definitely up and down at times. Definitely, like I said, that health condition definitely bears down on his voice. So that could be a contributing factor why people say, okay, well, that doesn't sound like him, or this does. But yeah, man, we're fighting to get him out. But more so, what he has given to us is the most valuable thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, as well as the rest of our leaders, we don't look at Malachi as a leader in action. We look at him as our master teacher. He's a teacher, but more so when he's amongst us, he's a brother. We treat him like family. We don't treat him like he treats us like family. So that's pretty much. I can't say everybody, but I can say that for the most part, that's the position that he's always had us to take regarding him, is to walk with him and not follow. All of us is definitely leaders, so we just got to take the lessons that our leaders have come to give us and step up and be leaders in ourselves. You know what I mean? And just take that and do what we know we got to do, man. So,
out of all the books, scrolls that he wrote, what would you recommend right now in this day of time for the people to read and check out?
You have two of them. You got one that he just recently released called His Story, and another one called another one called The Guidance, Pahadayan. So these two books is one is called it's called The Guidance. It's referring to the mission in America. Who exactly is Malachi Z. York? What is this? What was his purpose exactly? What has he been doing for the past 60 years? Is it just scrambled up information? All of those questions are answered in that book, The Guidance, where he actually walks us through and explains why he taught so many different religions, which actually makes perfect sense to us who are here in this school in this day and time. But to clear it up for those who may not understand or understand why, he taught all of these different doctrines is laid out in those books. And ultimately, he just explains that, it was meant to educate us on these different doctrines, these different schools of thought, whether it's religious, scientific, whatever the case may be, so that we can, return to our greatness as a people, mentally, physically, and also just being able to deal with any person and not be deceived by any individual, whether it be a scientist or whether it be a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a religious person, to just question everything. So that's one of the simple reasons why he started these different schools. And those two books are very instrumental in explaining that, bringing a person up to date. So you got that, and then his story breaks down a lot of these individuals, such as Adolf Hitler, Aleister Crowley, Albert Pike, Wallace Dahl Ford, L. Ron Hubbard, Joseph Smith, Billy Graham, Anton LaVey. This is, he was the founder of Satanism. He also broke down John Edgar Hoover and COINTELPRO. So that's a very instrumental book in this day and time that he just recently released to cover a lot of.
Wallace Dahl Ford, that's Master Fard Muhammad, right? What people know, right?
That's the imposter. Because but yeah, he also talks about Master Fard Muhammad. Because you had the real individual, and then you had, the one who the FBI revealed those facts about. And so yeah, he gives the facts on that in this particular book.
Right. Master, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Tell Nap Netter to wake up.
Nap Netter.
Yeah, he be dozing. Yeah, it's all good.
He probably had a long day. You want to
So
address
we all
everybody gonna got questions about the trial, man, about the cases that he got, you know what I mean? The reason why he's in jail. Do you want to address that? Break it down?
Yeah.
A lot of people got a lot of questions about that.
First, I want to clarify to the people who may have questions. Malachi Z. York is not in prison for child molestation. Let's just clear that up. Like I said, I didn't have a presentation prepared, so I don't have the documents in my hand right now to be able to answer that question on the fly. But anybody can look it up, because you can go and look up a prisoner's charges by name in the penitentiary or Department of State. And you can actually pull up Malachi's charges. It's actually RICO charges and has and it's not child molestation charges at all, which actually don't have any statutes on the federal. So when we're dealing with child molestation, that's a state crime. That's a state charge. Though there were charges of child molestation brought against Malachi in the state, but he actually beat that case because they tested the children and proved that none of the children had been touched. So what happened was the FBI, these racist government officials proceeded to try to prosecute Malachi in the federal because he won in the state. So they did a superseding indictment, which you cannot do because, again, like as I stated, there's no federal charge for child molestation. So if you lose in the state, you can't re-indict them in the federal for a charge that doesn't exist in the federal. So what they did was they pretty much brought RICO charges, which are like kingpin charges. For anybody who doesn't understand what RICO charges, just think of it like that. These are charges initially invented or brought about to take down large corporations and criminal organizations, which included multiple individuals. So when you take down a person for a RICO charge, it's typically not one person, it's actually a whole group of corrupt individuals collaborating. Say, for example, tax evasion. So a person who, a larger corporation or organization that tries to evade taxes, they would be brought under RICO charges. And Malachi Z. York was brought under RICO charges, and one of those charges was included tax evasion, and they actually attempted to, prosecute him, associate him with some form of child molestation in the RICO charge by claiming that he transported minors across state lines with the intent, with sexual intent. But again, when you use that type of language, it can, to an emotional person who doesn't study law, who doesn't study, who never studied Malachi's case, they will automatically assume and say, okay, well, that's the child molestation right there. Again, when you say transporting minors across state lines with intent, then you actually have to, in order to convict somebody on that charge with proof, then you would also bring a child molestation charge, which they never brought. So basically, it was just a claim that they were claiming that the reason why Malachi brought children across state lines was because he had an intent of some sort of sexual whatever. But again, as I stated, his actual charges were kingpin charges. And the reason why Malachi was bringing people down south was because he was re-educating African Americans of their indigenous ancestry that originated down North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. Because what we don't know is that many of us were not brought over on slave ships. And so Malachi taking us back down to the deep South, the racist South, right, was met with a lot of racism down there. And this is kind of what, this is why he's in prison. It has nothing to do with child molestation, but it does have something to do with transporting minors and African Americans in general across state lines, actually with intent to take back our own land and live up for and by each other. But they kind of changed that with no evidence to him, having intent of, some sort of sexual molestation, which they brought no evidence, no DNA evidence was ever presented in the case, which I think that people need to start asking questions. What we challenge as Sabaeans, we challenge people to do is to question us, whether it's on the case or on Malachi's innocence. But we also ask you to question Wikipedia when you type in Malachi's name and you read all of those statements, none of which are true. We ask the people to question everybody, including us. So because we're inviting you to criticize us and to try to attempt to prove us wrong on what we're standing on. But these other platforms don't. They just present information that's emotional. And so what we want to do is we want people to question, why wasn't Malachi's case open to the public if this was one of the most heinous crimes committed supposedly in American history? You would think, as you say, he molested over 200 children, but it was only 15 people in the trial. But let's just say, the claim that the 200 children he molested is true. Then this case should have been put out to the public. Everybody should have known about it. But in fact, Georgia closed this case down and made it private because they didn't want people to see the injustices that was taking place down there in Brunswick Brunswick, which is a place that was recently brought up where this kid was shot. This kid shot by these white racists chasing him in a truck. They shot him with the gun, right? We saw him, he was just jogging down the street. That happened in Brunswick, the same place where Malachi was incarcerated by these same racist government officials, the same individuals who's still in power. So it's like what we need to do is you just need to start asking questions, and we're inviting people to, to get down to the facts or whatever, whatever concerns you may have regarding his innocence or whether he's guilty or not. I'm not claiming to have all the answers, but I've studied the case pretty thoroughly. But like I said, whatever questions we may have, whether it's on the doctrine, all of it can really be answered. We just want the people to begin to think critically and ask questions beyond just, what you find on the surface, whether it's on Google or, what somebody has told you.
This may take a part two, but I got some questions. I got one more question to ask you, man.
Yeah.
You might need a pen, write it down, man. I got four questions. All right. Everybody talking about Chuck Morgan, right? Chuck Morgan. That's one. Two, Jacob York. Three, the children who said that he raped them. And four, the wives. Can you break that down? If you,
Wait, let's take it because I don't want you to overload me. Let's take it. Let's say because there were no children. We got to remember that. That's why I say we have to clear that up. When they say that children claim that Malachi molested them, that literally there were never any children in the case that were not coerced, by the way, because first of all, what we got to keep in mind is this: whenever the FBI interviews a child in a so-called child molestation case, there's always audio tapes. The interview is always recorded, right? This is government policy,
right?
For the FBI or for any government organization, when you interview a minor without the guardian around or the parent around, you have to record it, and that evidence is supposed to be presented in the trial. But do you know that not only were there prosecutors claiming that children were claiming that Malachi molested them without presenting any evidence of it? They didn't present the children saying that they never sat any children on the stand and said, did Malachi molest you? Children never shook their head and said yes. We're talking about minors now. Now, if you want to talk about adults, then that's a different story. There were multiple adults in the trial, but there were no children. What there were FBI agents who were taking children's names down from children who they had essentially kidnapped because they had taken them from their parents when they raided the land, and they kept these children in defects for 3 months away from the parents of the children without even telling the parents where they were. And while they had these children, they were coercing and questioning these children to try to get these children to bring charges against Malachi. After the 3 months, none of the children brought the claim that Malachi molested them, and the state had all of the children tested, meaning the orifices. I don't want to get, but they did test the children, and they were all found to not have been molested. So that was literally thrown out. They could not use any children in a federal trial, but they attempted to still do it. They were just utilizing like numbers because they didn't want to give the identity. Malachi was not allowed to face any of his accusers in his trial. The FBI did not allow that.
I got a question. Everything you're saying, can you present the facts? Can you tell everybody where to go to? A lot of people gonna say you're lying, you're taking up for the man, you know what I mean? So people want to see facts. So you got a website? Anything to show them?
So at the moment, you can check out nuwabianfacts.com. That's a good website that still hosts a lot of the trial documents. but specifically the trial transcripts for the federal trial is still sealed. They are still sealed, meaning the federal government has never released officially the trial transcripts. Now, there are in circulation some trial transcripts that people can look up. But the question, again, what we have to do as critical thinking people, as we say, is don't believe anything, right? Check it out. And so that also goes with that. There's a lot of fraudulent documents out there regarding Malachi's case. A lot of fraudulent documents, claims regarding his case that were literally invented after 2003, after he was incarcerated already. There were one such document is him testing positive for some for STD, which actually never existed in the trial. So it's just like it's a lot of things that's being put out in the public to try to steer people away, and it'll come across as a document and proof just because it's a piece of paper. But in reality, we got to check the validity of these things as well, because like I said,
but people say, but excuse me, man, but people say he admitted that he did it, man. He said he was guilty. Right?
Oh yeah, so let me address that. Yeah. So again, that particular video is another example of what I'm talking about. When we look at that video and we see Malachi standing there, and we hear audio of someone asking him questions about charges, we think that this is an authentic video, but what we got to recognize is that in a court of law, when you're asked a question, especially when on a plea, go back and look at this video. You're supposed to audibly speak. What we saw Malachi do there in this video was nod his head. And one of the things that came out is that this video was doctored. Literally, they doctored the audio and added audio from Malachi being asked about particular charges, and they attached it to a plea for his federal charges, for which he did plead guilty, which was the RICO charges of money structuring and transporting minors across state lines with intent. All of those actual charges he pled guilty to, and they still denied the plea agreement. So what they did was they put this out as him pleading guilty to child molestation when that literally never happened. They literally switched the audio and added it to this particular clip.
Where can we go? So, where can people go to for the facts for that?
Yeah. So what we're saying is to challenge it all. We're telling you the people who put this audio clip out. We're telling you to ask them, because we're not the ones who created the audio clip, and we're not claiming that Malachi's trial was open to the public. It literally was not. So the question that we need to be asking is, first of all, why was there a video camera in the courtroom on a closed case? That's one, right? Two is, why is this short video all we have? Who started the? Is this the point that they started the video? And is this the point that they ended the video? Who shared the video to the public? Who leaked it out? Right? These are the questions that we need to ask. Then we can get down to, okay, how authentic is this particular video? What we're saying is, we've heard the audio of the state case, which was recorded on the YBNFacts.com. Many of these documents are there. It's showing how, a lot of these documents were created. It also shows video clips, audio clips of the state case, the video clips of the federal case as well. So like I said, what we all have to do is we have to do our own diligent study. And many of us may not care that much because of the emotional, the emotional side of this whole ordeal. Dealing with children. A lot of people, once they hear that, they don't want to dig any deeper. It's just like they automatically get disgusted. But what we're telling people to do is understand, again, the elements that have been taking place with many of our leaders, especially with COINTELPRO pro programs, where these government organizations actually focus on the sexual life or so-called sexual life of all of our leaders. They did it with Elijah. They did it with they even tried it with Martin Luther King. J. Edgar Hoover literally did that with Martin Luther King. Try to discredit him. So we just got to keep in mind about these things. I'm not telling the family or the people to believe anything that I'm saying. I'm telling you, don't believe me, but go and check it out. But don't turn your back and assume that we're wrong. You know what I mean? And then just go out there and believe these devils, these demons. You see what I'm saying? Because they are the true liars.
Well, who is Jacob York, man? That ain't come up a whole lot. Jacob York and Chuck Morgan. Can you break them down?
Yeah. So Jacob York is one of Malachi's sons. His name is actually Yaqub Abdullah Muhammad, right? And he was he grew jealous of his father for a number of reasons. First of all, Jacob York was and still is prominent in the industry, in the hip hop industry, and he produces for a lot of artists. Today, I think he still produces for like Karuchi. He used to produce for Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane pretty much knows the truth about this Jacob now at this point, and how he brought these false charges against his father. But that's who Jacob York and how is and how he plays a role is he's one of Malachi's sons who was seeking the support of his father, Malachi, financially to back him when he was producing for artist Little Kim back in the 90s. And Malachi didn't want to support these type of artists like Junior Mafia and Little Kim, who Jacob was producing. He was a producer for them in their albums. He didn't want to support that type of content. So Jacob kind of grew jealous of his father, as well as a situation where his mother passed and she had a medical condition that she passed from. And Jacob blamed his father for that because his father wasn't around. He was so busy teaching. And his mother ended up passing from that. And so, he kind of just grew jealous from that. And he eventually brought these charges against his father for money, utilizing other disgruntled people from the community that were kicked out for multiple reasons or who left to go out and live a different type of lifestyle. These individuals came together down in Miami and decided to bring charges against Malachi. And they collaborated with those corrupt, racist government officials down south, as well as with the FBI to do so. So all of this came out later after Malachi was incarcerated. A lot of these people changed their minds and admitted to, the whole conspiracy. They did it in affidavit videos that's up on YouTube now. One of the women's name is Habiba Washington. And there's a few others that came out and it actually admitted how they were lying about these false charges. Those were the adults that I mentioned earlier. There were no children in the federal trial. It was adults. And later on, many of these adults came out and admitted how they lied. It's just that when they admitted how they lied, the government never retracted and listened to these individuals. So Malachi is still spending time in prison for these lies. And actually, the way that Jacob York and these other individuals are implicated in this is that they were the ones who were sleeping around with underage children. One of the women who brought these charges against Malachi was specifically admitted in the trial that that she was sleeping around with underage boys, and that she was also granted immunity by the FBI, so that she would not be prosecuted for the crimes that she committed of molesting underage boys as well.
I heard about that. I heard a lot
Yeah.
about that. A woman doing it. Nobody talked about her. So we ain't bring her up.
Yeah. It's like a lot of these things don't, they don't want to speak about, but the truth is going to come out. They're hoping that Sabaeans, kind of just, or people just stop focusing on Malachi, or maybe they just hope that we only focus on the lies out there. We only focus on what's said on Wikipedia. But eventually people will go beyond Wikipedia. They'll start asking more questions, like why are there so many people still following this so-called child molester? You know what I mean? Great questions like that. Great questions. And that's exactly what we want the people to do. Ask questions. Yeah, that's all I had. That's all I had to say, family.
I got a few more questions.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna do a part 2 to this and show some more evidence to the people, man.
Yeah. Like I said,
obviously,
I don't have nothing right here offhand. It's like we're doing all this on the fly, but
what about Chuck Morgan? You heard of him?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And break down Chuck Morgan, and it was a Sunni Muslim guy back in the day who wrote a book on Dr. York. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What was his name? He was basically dogging out Dr. York, a Sunni Muslim.
It's yeah, I know who you're referring to. Yeah.
Can you break them down? What you know about it?
I remember the brother's name. But I know that Chuck Morgan. I don't know the brother personally, so I can't give you a background on who he is or what he's about or anything like that. I can tell you that the brother is obsessed with Malachi. He was obsessed with him before, but now, I don't know if it's if he's being paid by COINTELPRO or different government agencies or whatever the case may be. But the brother has been obsessed with Malachi since he began teaching in the 70s. And this brother, if I'm not mistaken, came across Malachi in the 90s on Tamare. And since then, he's pretty much been obsessed with Malachi. And since he's been incarcerated, he kind of switched. And so now he is pretty much a slander, but to the point where he does it every 2 to 3 days. He has a new video out on YouTube. And you can look up his YouTube channel. It's called Chuck Morgan. He puts out a lot of slanderous concepts, which he's not really a student, so he doesn't study he doesn't actually study our doctrine. He more so criticizes it as opposed to like actually analyzing it and trying to piece it together, or even like actually outright disprove it. He just takes pieces and parts that may sound like off the wall, because a lot of the things that we teach is if you just take an isolated statement, it does sound crazy. Talking about extraterrestrials, or talking about different things on different subject matters. Just if you just use blanket statements, and this is what this brother does, he pretty much slanders in this day and time constantly, and that's all he talks about. He has nothing else to build. He doesn't work with any organization. It almost seems as though that kind of is his like his job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure what the brother does for a living. So I can't, like I said, I can't really speak against him, but that's all I know on that brother, Chuck Morgan.
No, that young Pharaoh guy, man, he's going wild too. Being mentioned to him, all the disrespect and just talking and just talking and just talking and just talking. I had to bring him up, man. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody
I mean, you got a lot of people out there that that feel negatively about our master teacher Malachi, which is fine. They have a right to do that. But again, it's dealing with belief. They have a right to have an opinion. They have a right to have a belief. But what we're dealing with is facts. So until they're ready to stand on the statements that they make, like for example, the brother Pharaoh actually was one that looked up those documents. and try to present it to the people as if it was authentic of Malachi testing positive for STD. And he attempted to use that as evidence of Malachi being guilty or something like that. But the brother never tried to look up and see if the information was authentic. And it was never proven to be, because there's no trial transcripts that were released for the public to see and actually compare it to. So it's like it's a lot of things that's out there that we're just trying to tell the people, hey, you can believe it if you want to, that's your right. But we're challenging the people to go beyond belief and say, okay, let's analyze this thing. And like I said, I don't have the documents right here offhand, but if we want to, we can put together a presentation where we actually look at a lot of these things.
We'll get with Senator Rule on that.
Yeah, there are some documents that that prove a lot of things that was going on.
I know Dr. York teaches a lot about extraterrestrials. A lot of people can't really get a grip on it. But damn, if you go to Kemet, you see like Ashra Equation, Kemet New Tours, and all the, these different people. You see it on the walls, brother. You know what I mean? But people just have a hard time talking about extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I mean,
we even in indigenous America, you see the Native Americans carving you something on a rock about something that's coming down off came or something. You know what I'm saying?
Look, everybody, to be honest with you, there's not a organization or group that dates their history back hundreds or thousands of years that doesn't speak about any form of extraterrestrials. We could say we could talk Elijah Muhammad, right? Spoke about Krill. He mentioned we could speak about, like you said, the Native Americans. We could speak about the Dogon of Africa, South Americans. So it really doesn't matter where you go. It's just that, I don't know, maybe it's the concept of the fact that we're saying it today and we're bringing it up to date with facts, and we're actually giving details as opposed to just the religious spiritual concepts that are given in religion, or even some ancient traditions that kind of communicate these stories are extraterrestrials in a way where people interpret it wrong. They interpret it as like angels or spirits flying through the sky, or orbs of light, things like that. Not to say that those things don't exist, but I just think that in many cases, a lot of these religious texts and cultures have been misinterpreted, and our master teacher has simply brought these things up to date so that we can understand them for what they were really trying to communicate. And that's the fact that whether you're dealing with Egypt, their ancestors coming from the Orion star constellation, in the Bible, you're dealing with extraterrestrials coming from a planet-sized craft called Nibiru. Really doesn't matter. We're talking about extraterrestrial beings, a different species of extraterrestrials. So it's not a far off concept to us. It may be to those individuals who are small-minded in their thinking, as far as thinking that humans is it, or mankind is it. And that's not a bad thing, because I know a lot of us are still waking up, but we definitely have to open our minds up to these concepts of the existence of other life forms outside of this planetary sphere, that we call Earth. This is definitely not it.
I've noticed a lot of people that's supposed to be woke, wearing unks. I'm a brother and sister from a different planet, different world, other world. You know what I mean? But when you start talking about the reality of it, you're crazy, and it's right on the walls of what they represent. It's crazy, man, So
yeah, I mean,
outside this earth. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I say, man, kind of getting a headache right now. I don't know why. But for the most part, man, we just have to open our minds to a lot of concepts and things that we've been taught. And understand that we need to reanalyze these things and take a second look. Because in many cases, we're interpreting extraterrestrials as God, and this is what has created many of the world's religions. So I don't know, man. That's pretty much what I had to say on that.
That's you. Peace to the guys. You got anything to add on or take away?
No, man, I'm just sitting here listening, man. That's not my, area of expertise, man. So, I'm just sitting here doing the knowledge, man, just listening to the brother Bill, the brother in the bike going in on a lot of stuff, some stuff I kind of knew, some stuff I didn't. But I'm just here being aware of what I'm saying, man. That's it. Just staying in tune.
What did you know about the case? What did you hear about the case of Dr. Malachi York, Master U? What did you know about it?
Oh, they basically, I ain't say what I know. I can only say what I heard with people. You know what I'm saying? What I heard. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I haven't delved too. I'm familiar with Dr. Malachi York, but I'm not. I didn't dwell too much into his particular science. Basically what Brother Nabat said. People trying to call. People saying he was a pedophile. He was a rapist or whatever. That's what I heard. You know what I'm saying? But again, I haven't really done too much knowledge to him. So it was interesting to hear the brother. I mean, I've heard you talk about him too. It was good to hear like another aspect from Brother Nabat, man. So yeah, I'm just sitting here listening. That's it.
Yeah, and I tend to want to show to the people why why he's actually incarcerated. One of the things we don't know about Malachi is that after he established the land down in Georgia for our people to live,
Tamaray.
Yeah, Tamaray. First of all, what we got to keep in mind is that that is indigenous land that belongs to the Yamasee tribe, as well as the Seminole, the Washita, who are all descendants of the Olmecs, by way of the Muskogee. When you say Muskogee, that was a certain parent tribe that who inhabited those 5 states I mentioned: Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And in that territory, our indigenous ancestors built mounds, which are the let's say American equivalent of pyramids, or descendants who replicated the pyramids of our ancestors, also built here in America as well, in South America specifically. But in down south, we retained our sovereignty, and Malachi was coming to re-educate our people about our identity and the fact that the Yamasee tribe never relinquished our sovereignty, meaning there were multiple indigenous Native American tribes that relinquished their sovereignty when Europeans and colonizers came over here to take land. Many of them integrated with the colonizers, Europeans, like the Cherokee tribe. And that's why they're given certain reservations and casinos and things like this today, and they're recognized today.
$5 Indians, right? $5
yeah,
Indians.
That's right. $5 Indians, that's right. But our tribe never relinquished our sovereignty. So we've still maintained our sovereignty as a government, and Malachi, recognizing that, re-educated our people on who we were. So there was definitely an indigenous element, a Native American element of us retaining and regaining the knowledge and our territory of our ancestors. And all this was being done on Tamaray. While that was being done, Malachi, also being part African by way of his father, Native American by way of his mother, African by way of his father, also identified with his African side and decided to travel over to Liberia in 1997 and contacted Charles Taylor, which was the president of Liberia at the time. This Charles Taylor, after he got to know Dr. York, Dr. York, becoming a citizen of Liberia, became a consul general and diplomat of Liberia. And so this president of Liberia sent Malachi back to America with the mission of uniting Africans in America, descendants of Africans directly who were brought over on ships, preparing them, you and me, African Americans, economically, with business, with different trades, with different skills, to be able to go back to Liberia and different African countries and rebuild Africa as a whole. Why the United States saw this as a threat is because this was literally, it was almost like killing two birds with one stone. This is the Messiah figure that they feared so much. When I say Messiah figure, this is how they termed it in their COINTELPRO.
Black Messiah, the Black
Yeah,
Messiah.
exactly. This is how they termed it. So this individual, they saw as a threat because not only was he attempting to wake up, and he was doing it legitimately. So some people will say, well, sometimes he's claiming to be Native American, sometimes he's claiming to be, he can do that. I know I can do that specifically because also my mother is from North Carolina. I am of the Yamasee tribe. And also my father traces his ancestry back to Africa, to Nubia and Sudan. So I can actually trace my genetic bloodline to that territory. I know my mother, she explains and still has our history as coming from North Carolina and Alabama back in the late 1800s, which if we do our research, this is exactly when the Yamasee tribe began migrating out through the Trail of Tears and also through the war of 1715, after the Yamasee lost a war with these racist Europeans down there in Brunswick. So long story short, they actually saw a threat with him actually regaining the land here in America as the last pure blood indigenous Yamasee chief on record, because Malachi actually showed his bloodline records going back to Ben York, which who married a Native American, married into a Native American family and gave birth, then all the way down to Malachi's mother specifically. So he actually was able to trace his bloodline back to indigenous Yamasee chief, and actually was able to claim to be a chief of our tribe, which we recognized him as such. With that being said, he was a seated president of our Native American tribe here in America, as well as this consul general preparing African Americans to go back to Africa and rebuild Africa. So what it was doing was, it wasn't choosing one side. It wasn't telling everybody, all of you are Africans, all of you go back to Africa. What he was doing was he was putting back into context everybody based on your own ancestry. He was literally re-educating us on who we were, and not only just telling us who we were, actually giving us the platform, the land, the knowledge of how we could start businesses. He clothed us. He gave us ways for us to support ourselves. And with that, they saw that as a threat because it began to pop up in different parts of the world, not just in Georgia, in New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, over in the UK, Ghana, Trinidad, different places like that. And so this is what the public doesn't know. This is what the people don't know about Malachi, about the things he has done. And that's just a small part. You know, he's written over 1,000 books on every topic that mostly me and you could imagine. And this has simply been to not just to reawaken our people, but to give us back everything that they have taken from us. And they've pretty much seen that as a threat.
It's funny
You know,
how
it's
you
cool.
mentioned it's funny how you mentioned indigenous. See, we got an understanding. I know Master you do too. We all got an understanding about indigenous. You got this indigenous war. I ain't from Africa. I'm from over here. You get what I'm talking about? Like Dane Colloway and them the cat. Starting the civil war between here and Africa.
Yeah, that's another thing
You
that they
know.
want. Yeah, they want us to make that division, and we're not going to do that. I know that many of us have been mixed in with Native American tribes, because when they began enslaving people, they were enslaving Native Americans as well, who were dark skinned, especially those from down south. So they got many of us confused into thinking that we're all descendants brought over on ships, when in reality, many of us are indigenous.
To the indigenous people, to the extreme ones, like Dane Calloway, I tell y'all this right here. Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas. We are indigenous, but everything came out of the motherland.
I'll be right back.
That's how I feel. And that's what I've seen in my research. We've been for a long time on this piece of land called America. But it all started in Africa. It started in a place called what they call Africa, Kevalon, whatever you want to call it. It started there, and then it branched out around the mass, what y'all call Pangea. But it started there. Master, you're going to take it from me, man.
Oh no, this new, man. Like I said, I'm just listening, man. Yeah, new Wapians going in, man. Like I said, it's been good for me to kind of sit back and just listen, and it's good to listen sometime, man. Not talk, just kind of listen. So I'm just kind of here, just, again, like I said earlier, just doing the knowledge of the things that both of you are talking about, man. Yeah, so yeah, man. And I will also say this, like Dr. Clyde Anderson said, a lot of people who think that Indians ain't Indians. Y'all ain't know Indians, or the so-called Indians that people think. A lot of them ancestors were raped by slave masters and stuff.
Right.
But they think they're Indian. Like, no, you ain't know. A lot of people like, you not no Indian. You not the Indians that you see. No, sir.
The word Indian is the wrong name for the people. Indian. You know what I mean? Like East Indian.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Indian calling himself an Indian is come on. You don't know his culture for real.
Yep. You know, a lot of the a lot of black people were slaved by Native Americans that was here too. The stuff people don't talk about. They were slaved and they raped women. They did a lot of the same things, but people don't talk about that either. You know what I'm saying?
Man. They didn't want when white people so-called let's go out of chattel slavery, damn so-called American Indian, he still had us, man, and raping us and stuff. And it's a treaty of 1866. They owe us money, bro.
Yeah.
And for keep paying the money, they kick the darker ones out the tribe. Y'all go look it up. Like the bot said, don't believe me, go check it out.
Yeah, go check it out.
Keep paying. To this day, they're a bunch of $5 Indians. And $5 Indians, because they paid $5. White people paid $5 to basically get free land. They called themselves Indians. Back then, $5 was a lot of money in the 1800s.
Okay. I do know, go ahead, brother.
So I almost say, so a lot of people that's getting them casino money and stuff, it ain't the dark Indians, it's the white Indians. You know what I'm saying? Basically $5 Indian. And y'all go check it out and look up Dr. Claude Anderson. Like Master you said, Dr. Claude Anderson. Break that down.
Yeah, Dr. Claude going on and talk about a lot of stuff. I remember growing up and people were so quick to say, man, with a lot of black people, if you got anything else in your blood, that's peace, that's cool. Nobody knocking what you do. But a lot of time people treat black as a thing of inferiority. You know what I mean? Like black is the lowest thing, but yet the whole world, people like black music. Sports stars is black. You know, your Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? The way that black people dress. You know what I'm saying? You know, our swag and stuff. Everybody want to act black. Get what I'm saying? But even amongst our own culture, people quickly say, you know, I'm mixed with Indian. I got Native American. I got Cherokee. And I'm not knocking it as if you do. But nobody just want to be just black. And some people was like, well, none of us is just black. And I want you to listen to what I'm saying. Somebody can say, no, I'm Indian. I got Indian in my blood. You know, I got my grandma Indian, this person Indian, that person Indian. You so big to piece up everything else that you are outside of black. You understand what I'm saying? You so big to piece up. You know, so you saying, oh, black people can't have straight hair? Black people can't have freckles?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Black people, you know what I mean? Black people are the most exotic people on this planet, but you can't tell that by watching TV, looking at music videos.
Yep.
Look at the media. It'll make you think black people ain't some of the most exotic people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Look up the Eve gene. Everything come from Eve, the Eve, African Eve. You know what I'm saying? Look it up. Look it up yourself. You know, this ain't
ready for that. They ain't ready for that.
This ain't what your mama said or believe. This is actual fact. It's scientific proof, man. Ain't nothing more exotic than black. And again, I ain't knocking nobody else. Whatever, you know, whatever you are, that's on you. But I mean, if you black, have pride in being black. Black ain't the lowest thing on this planet. People got to get that out their mind. You know, you got good hair, girl. What you got? Indian in your family? That's disrespect. You know what I'm saying? That's disrespect. You know, I'm for real. That's outright disrespect. What you mean? Like, you know what I mean? I want me a girl that's exotic. What you mean? You never seen no black Brazilian. You know what I'm saying? You never seen no lady from Jamaica or from Haiti. You know what I'm saying? You never seen nobody. You never seen nobody. You know what I mean? Go travel the world. But some people, every time they think black, they think, oh, it got to be she this, she that. No, black is the most exotic and most beautiful thing on this planet. For me, a black woman is.
Where you think the damn Indian, so-called Indian come from? The damn black people. Indians not the original people.
I was gonna say, you know, just for anybody who claims to be, oh, I'm Native American, I'm Cherokee. He explained that Cherokee is really a trick name.
Exactly.
That tribe, the name of that name didn't even exist before the 1600s. A word Cherokee. And then you have many tribes that didn't even exist until Europeans came and raped some of the earlier tribes. And even those tribes didn't exist until Chinese came over during Fujian dynasty. This was around the 300s. I think it was like 332 AD. They migrated over and mixed in California and ran into the Olmecs. Olmecs were the original people here. These were the original indigenous people here who themselves migrated over from Uganda and Nubia as the Nuba people. So those were the first indigenous people here, and they had dark skin and woolly hair. Those Mongols from the Fujian dynasty came over and mixed in with these Africans, black people, and produced Native Americans like the Aztecs and the ancestors of Mexicans. So Mexicans are descendants of Olmecs mixed with Chinese. Cherokee are descendants of Olmecs mixed with Chinese and East Indians who the Europeans raped. So they are like 4 different races in one Cherokee. Mm-hmm. Then you have all these other tribes who are a product of the children of these Olmecs who mix with these other migrants who came to this country much later. So it doesn't matter which tribe you speak of, whether you say the Taino, those are descendants of the Yamasee who came over and migrated down to those islands during the 1700s, early 1600s and 1700s. So it's just like it's a lot of misinformation out there that people don't know when they say, "Oh, I'm not African, I'm Native American." The Native Americans are African. They don't even know it. They don't even know it. You know what I mean? They don't know their history.
You got these brother, but that's you. You got these people around. I'm Indian. Hey, that's
Right,
me. I got
right.
I got Indian in my blood too. But guess what?
Right.
Every race, Indian, whatever you are a child of Africa. At
That's
the end
right.
of the day,
That's a fact.
you are not Muslim. You will come from you're a mixed Mongol person. You're black and Mongol. That's what you are. With that long, pretty hair, hate Africa, and all this crazy shit.
It was 3 root races on this planet. Originally, it was 3 root races. You had the Negroids, the Mongoloids, and then you have the Indians.
Exactly. They ain't
Those are the
nobody special.
races. From them came all others.
Yep, I got it in my bloodline, but you don't see me walking around going crazy. I ain't black, you know? Like so many people, you know what I mean? Walking around here acting crazy. I'm done. I think Stuart said go take his children home, you know. But anything else y'all want to add on? Dr. Malachi York?
Nope.
No, that's it, family. So yeah, I just thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all for listening, and look forward to the next one.
All right, that's peace, brother. Y'all have a good night.
All right, peace, man.